I can bring up on my screen. Okay, but I don't want my room as my background. No, that's not bad. I move my pillow and that other stuff. Wow. Let's see. But that can be a distraction. So virtual background. Which one do I like better? I like that one better. Hi, Rhonda. Oh, Amit. Hi, Apur. Get my headphones on.
Good morning, Anne.
How are you?
Good afternoon. Fine.
Could you say your name one time for me? I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly.
A boy?
A boy.
Right.
Okay, a boy.
Actually, B and H sounds like a V, like Victor.
Okay. A boy. Okay. A boy. Okay. What are you doing?
All right.
I'm nervous, but we're going to do it.
No. You are so experienced, you cannot be nervous.
Did you get a message that I was recording this?
You are recording. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I want to make sure it shows up.
Yeah, it shows.
All right, good, good. We have 26 or 27 people.
Okay, that's good.
That's really good. I'm surprised, but I'm happy.
That's right. And you are keeping much 20, 40, 27 to 45. It means about 18 minutes or 18 minutes for this moderating.
Right, right. So you got about, it's going to start at 5. So you have time.
Okay. How many participants?
There's about 26.
No, I mean how many is going to evaluate?
Oh, what we're going to do is we're going to put them in breakout rooms.
Okay.
To do their evaluations, and then they're going to select a speaker to encompass what everybody said. And then you and Thane at the end are going to give your evaluation of the evaluators.
Okay, so we are not moderating. We are not going to ask the question to the evaluation, because this is the way I have done many times. For example, I am the moderator. So I have to decide what I have to do. For example, I say, we have this page, we are going to this page, and let's break down. It depends upon how many people. So I can say, let's break down in 3 areas.
Okay.
One, clear message, one group. Another group will be logical, organizational structure. And another group will be engaging with the audience. So
oh boy, I like that.
And then we have to go by step, ask the question, and whatever they implement, how he did it, how Jim did it, they will explain it, and also they will give the positive improvement. And at that time, audience can also participate. They may say something, and I have to rephrase their words and come back to the people. This is the way I did it many times, but I don't know what actually. Then good afternoon. Then
you have to unmute yourself, Thane.
So it depends upon, it depends, for example, you just give me 5 people. So I can break down in the 5 different areas. If you give me the 6 people, I break down in the 3 different areas. Then we have to, but it's up to you how you like to
Well,
do
I'm
it.
waiting for Rhonda to come in because
Okay,
she's handling the breakout rooms.
okay,
And I think she may like that idea. So that would be awesome.
yeah.
And Thane's also going to be,
Yeah, he will be with me. And he's a lot of places.
right, he may go into a separate room. You might not be in the same room with them. We got to wait for Rhonda to come on.
Yeah,
But that's a good idea. We can discuss, yeah, that's nothing set in stone. I want
nothing said
for
so.
the evaluation.
Right. And
Right.
also sometimes it depends upon the more people. Suppose you have 9, 10 people. So we can ask as for our humorous speech, somebody will go about the speech development. Somebody will go the effectiveness. Just all the things, voice, manner, they can go that way, or we can break down in the, as I told you, the whole speech, 3 different categories, and let the people, 2 or 3 people, give their comments. Then we have to go from there to the audience.
Right. Right.
It depends what actually you like to do.
Right. We only have one person from the group to speak for the group because of time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
That's
why I saw that you have 27. So it is the 3 and 5, the 8, 28 minutes you have. No, 17 minutes, 18 minutes you have.
Right.
For 18 minutes, it depends. We can make the 3 groups, and each group will be 6 minutes each. And in each group, there will be the 2 participants. They will speak only 3 minutes. So that's what I am thinking. But that is that is we all together. We have to decide what we're going to do.
Oh, Rhonda didn't get the link for the meeting. Oh, let me send it to her. Oops, I thought I sent it to her. Hold on. Sent. Yeah, hold on. I thought I sent that to her. Doing it. Every contest. Come on, where is it? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. AG workshop. Here we go. Volunteers to help.
You found it?
You found it?
I said, did you find it or do you still?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Yep, I'm going to send it to her right away. Control C. She just can't find it in her emails.
Wednesday at 7:38, you sent it to me.
Right. And I resent it, so she'll be coming right in.
Okay. I find that's one of my big challenges is trying to keep track of all the emails with all the different links in them.
Well, what I did was I created an attendance sheet like we do for training. And I put all the emails in there so I could just copy and paste them. And that's what I did to send the emails out.
Okay, there you go, being efficient again.
So that they were all in one place.
Well, and me, I'm just hoping that I calculated all the time zone differences correctly.
So she's going to be coming in shortly. She's going to help present. She's going to take over some of the slides because, like I said, this isn't about me. I want all Toastmasters to be involved. This is about everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a team to put on such a workshop.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
And my fellow Toastmasters, and I can't do it alone.
Okay.
I love having my fellow Toastmasters involved. It
Yeah.
means a lot to me.
Okay, Anne,
Yeah.
question for you. Since I'm the timer, do you want me to give you an indication if we're drastically veering off the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Through chat easiest or?
Yes.
Okay.
Or you know what? Time the whole thing. Time me too. Make sure I'm staying within time frame of my comments because that's the only way we're going to finish on time.
Yeah. Ken, you don't have the time card?
I No, I have time cards.
Okay, so you can show the time card so we can wrap it up.
Well, that
Yeah,
wasn't the question.
No, but let me know if I'm dressed, if I, okay?
We'll be fine.
All right, where is she? I sent it to her. Sent. Send it to her. She'll be coming in. So we have 27 people, including Rhonda, me, you, and Apoy.
And your dog.
And my door, which I'm shutting the door. He heard someone come to the door and he barked. And I sent everybody the workbooks and the evaluation sheets. And we're just going to run with it.
Certainly a new experience.
It is.
Right.
Comes our Zoom master. Jock, you have to be quiet. James, get him out of here. Hi, Rhonda.
Rhonda, he's here.
She's got to unmute. Unmute yourself.
She is unmuted.
Okay. Hi, Jim. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Tell Rhonda your idea.
Okay, let's discuss with Tan and other evaluators and Rhonda. Then let's see, get the comments if they like it. How many evaluators we have?
Oh, everybody's going to be evaluating, so
Okay, all the participants are evaluating?
yes, that's the idea of the thing, so they all get experience doing it.
Now, let's clarify. You mean orally evaluating?
I'm going to let Rhonda take this part because she's going to handle this part with the Zoom meeting. So
I guess the question is how many people are going to give an oral evaluation during the session? Not everybody.
We wanted
Not
to, we will break up depending on the attendance, we'll break up the attendees into teams of maybe 4 or 5, depending on how many people
Right.
actually show up. So we will have one representative from each group give
Okay.
the oral evaluation, and that's after collaborating in a breakout room with their team.
Rhonda, I was discussing with Anne few times. I did a lot of different ways. One of them was very successful way. After hearing the speech, we can break it down in the 3 categories. One of them is that clear message? One group will discuss about that. Second group will discuss, is that logical organizational structure? They will discuss about that. And another group will discuss, is that engaging with the audience? So this is the way, one of the way. Otherwise, we can go as for humorous speech. A lot of different techniques. It depends upon the people, how many people are, or do you think that all the evaluators will go through all the points?
yes,
I think that's what Ann had originally, when she and I talked earlier, we
Right.
talked about that, right? Because we do recognize that people have all different experiences and different backgrounds and perceptions. So we wanted to not limit it to a specific topic within the evaluation, but to give
Okay.
people an opportunity. And it's not just on the actual points of the evaluation, but also on how it's delivered.
Okay,
right.
okay, that's fine.
7 minutes to go. Jim, are you ready to give your speech?
Jim is ready all the time.
I'm going to start working on it now.
Okay.
Well, that's earlier than usual, Jim.
Was I supposed to give a speech?
You're missing your 2 ties.
Oh, how about that? No tie
You know-
today.
You know who has, Brian Kavanaugh has all my ties, and I can't reach him to get him back. And yeah, 2 ties. Yeah, I need a prop.
And can I ask you to make me host, if you
Oh,
don't mind?
yes, please do. Yes, thank you.
And then I believe I was going to be a co-host just as
Yeah.
a backup.
Yeah, and I'll make you that so that since you're the timekeeper, it'll be easy for people to spot you. You should appear one of the first 3 or 4 people in their list.
Okay.
And you're going to have to make Thane the co-host.
Yes.
I made you
She
host.
just did. She is.
Okay.
Yep.
Presenter. Okay. There's Sheila. Hi, Sheila. Coming in. Cool.
Her audio is connected. It always takes a few seconds for that to happen.
So Anne, if this were actually live, where would you be holding it?
This one at a library.
Oh, you are in the library?
Yeah, in a library. If this was live, just so I wouldn't have to deal with security issues at ETS and having people come. It's just not, it's not worth it. You know, you don't like to ask for favors. And so I would have held it at a library. That's what you meant, right, Thane?
Yes. And it would have been a library in Langhorne, right? So you can make the.
You rack up a lot of miles, right, for the district?
Oh, I
Yeah.
traveled 4 hours round trip to Scranton a week ago.
Yikes.
You put in
And
for
then- And then I went to Sweden, and I went to Bangladesh, and I'm going to Chicago next week.
Awesome.
Yeah, put in for your 14 cents a mile.
Boy, well, at this rate, I can retire.
Yeah, the district is still looking for a finance monger for next year.
Oh, really? I thought they had someone.
There's a personal problem.
Okay, I was wondering. Okay, understand. Let's close this.
Hello, Deborah Darby.
Is it not?
And Ron,
Muted.
there's one more person coming from the list that I gave you, and that's Cheryl Wallace from Bluebell Toastmasters.
Deborah in the sea beach.
Yep. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Sheila. Sharon Small's here. If you can put on your camera, Sharon, that would be great. There we go. Hi, Sharon.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Hi, Ann Pavelka. If you could put on your camera, if you wouldn't mind.
I don't want to use the camera. I had a bad experience the other day and I don't want to use it anymore.
Okay. Here they all come. Let me resend Dave the link. How many? We got 10.
Yeah.
Looking at 24, was it?
27.
26.
Oh, 6. Okay.
26. It's nice. Jerry's on. Hi, Jerry. Here comes Joan. Covenant Toastmasters. Kathy Chisholm. Hi, Kathy. Getting here. Hi, Kathleen.
Hey, Ann.
Hello.
Confusing, there's two Kathleens.
Oh, that too, Catherine.
There are? Joan, if you could show your video so we can see you, that would be nice. Hi, Roz. Here comes Dave. We're up to, wait on a few more. Hi, Roz. There's Joan. Hi, Joan. Welcome, welcome. How long should we give it, Rhonda? Till 5:05, 5:06? What should we do?
I would think 5:05 now. Just give it a few more minutes and let's get started.
Okay. Sixteen.
We'll ask everyone to go on mute unless you need to speak so we can cut down on the feedback. Thank you.
Donna Herb. Hi, Donna. If you could show your video, Donna. And Joan.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, I was saying I was having trouble with my other computer with the Zoom. So I came back to the computer that doesn't have the video that works. I'm going to continue to try and launch Zoom on the other one that's got video. So I might
Okay.
go over halfway between or whenever I can get it to work.
All right. Well, I'm just glad you're here, Donna.
Well, thank you.
Glad everyone showed up. It is 5:04. We're going to wait one more minute, and then I'm going to turn it over to our Zoom master, Rhonda, to start proceedings. Oh, they should be. I did enable. No, I need full. Security. Polls. No. How are we going to do that?
So, and it's 5:06. I don't know if you want to get started with the call to order and intros. You're on mute.
Fine. All the time, never fails.
I do it too.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank all of you for coming to this workshop. I want to make it an interactive workshop so that when you're done with this workshop, you will actually feel like you can give an evaluation and be confident doing it. A couple of things in change of order from what we were planning. The breakout rooms, for some reason, were tested previously and they're not working now. So we will have you work on your evaluations and then we will ask for volunteers. So, you know, Toastmasters, we adjust on the fly all the time, right guys? So that's what we're going to do here tonight. And that's what makes us so good at what we do, because we can adjust. First, I want to do some introductions, if I may. I don't know if everyone knows Rhonda Young. She is our Zoom master. She's very experienced with it. She's our Queen Zoom master, I call her.
Thank you. I love that title.
She has been the Zoom master for many district events and things have run smoothly. So I was so grateful when she volunteered to come and offer to help. Then I have Thane Shetter, who is my mentor. He is a co-coordinator as well with Rhonda in providing the guidance to kick this off and giving me feedback. My other mentor, Dave Schlegel, also provided feedback, so I want to thank him. And then I want to thank Apoy for volunteering to be an evaluator mentor along with Thane Shetter. With the introductions, I'm going to move into the opening comments, if I may. What I want to start with is a story of my own on evaluation and how I've come to value evaluations because I think it's important. As a Toastmaster of the ETS Toastmasters Club, there's one member for me who has stood out from all the rest. They have several good evaluators, but this one person has always stood out among the rest for me. And that is Donna Herb, who happens to be here on this evaluation workshop in support of me. I love Donna's evaluations. She doesn't fill it with a lot of fluff, and she's not excessively negative. She has always provided me with inspiration that I could do better. I did a speech one time, and I have a loud voice. And I try to lower it, but I'm not always successful. It sounds like I'm yelling at you when I'm talking to you. Well, this one time, this one evaluator said to me, "Stop yelling at us." I'm like, oh my God, what'd I do? Well, I didn't get up to speak again for several months. Now, I still haven't perfected that art. Even as recently as a speech last week at ETS, Donna was again my evaluator. She does it with such class. She said to me, "Ann, you might want to try to lower your voice and bring the audience to you." Now, which evaluation would you prefer to have? Which one's going to make you want to speak again? Am I right? So, you know, no matter how many challenges I had with my speeches, she was never overly negative, but even if I thought I improved my speech, she wasn't overly complimentary either, because you know why? As a speaker, there's always room for improvement. That's the way I feel. And a good evaluator will notice that and they'll let you know, but in a positive manner. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. What I want to remind us all here is that as evaluators, it's an opinion that we're given to another speaker. So we have to keep that in mind. And as speakers, it's up to us to either accept it or reject it. You don't want to walk away with hurt feelings. You want to walk away inspired. And I'm hoping this workshop will teach us how to deliver those type of evaluations. With that being said, I'm going to start. I also want you to think of evaluations before I move into it as a gift. It's a gift you give your fellow Toastmasters. So that's the way I want you to think about it. So I'm going to start off with my presentation today, and I'm going to share my screen. And I didn't want to do that in the beginning because I wanted to do a little intro. And do it like this. And I want to make sure everybody can see my screen. Okay. This is what our workshop's going to look like today. This is what I'm going to try to cover in the 2 hours. And as you can see by the agenda, it's a pretty tight schedule. What our workshop objectives are is to help us recognize the purpose and the value of evaluations and how we can help speakers by doing an effective evaluation and ways to improve and to discover ways in how we can improve our evaluation skills. What we can say that may make it better, that may make it enticing for the speaker to listen to us and provide them their valuable feedback that they can implement in their next speech. And the other thing that I want to do is to stimulate conversation and ideas by having the group discussions so that when we leave here today, we come away with maybe some new ideas we didn't think of about evaluating speeches. Now I'm going to turn it over to Rhonda because we're going to go right into the exercise on page 5 of your workbook that I asked everyone to print out. And what I want to explain a little bit about that exercise, if I may, and I will read from notes because I can't memorize everything, so pardon me. But what the purpose of this exercise is for, as participants, I want you to write down 5 important reasons as to why you want to develop better speaking skills. You don't have to list all 5. You're only going to be given 2 minutes to do this. So I need you to write that down. And then we're going to come and talk about it. So can you take 2 minutes to write down on your piece of paper on page 5 why you want to develop better speaking skills? So 2 minutes is going to start now.
Can we ask that Thane would, as our timekeeper, if you would indicate when 2 minutes has expired?
Yes. Ask for control.
Two minutes have expired.
Okay.
Okay, so I will share my screen just so that we can capture some of the feedback. So if someone would just start by sharing one of their top 5 reasons why we need to learn to speak. That goes for anyone. Jump in. Take yourselves off mute and speak up.
To be an effective communicator.
Okay.
To
Anyone else?
Persuade
inspire
others.
Raj put in chat to connect with people in a way that makes them feel included and inspired to act.
Love the inclusion and connect with others and inspire them.
To build relationships.
Okay.
Able to present ideas more eloquently.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of your comment.
To be able to present ideas more eloquently.
Okay.
Dave
Awesome.
said to build confidence.
Okay.
To pay attention.
Yes.
To share ideas that can help to improve.
Okay.
To motivate others.
Motivate others. Perfect.
A clarity, so you know what you did right and what you can improve on.
Okay. Are you all looking in the book?
No,
These are like,
we're veteran Toastmasters.
I know.
We wrote the book.
Everything. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't write the book.
You inspired the book. These are all great. So let me just go back up. So
How you guys are writing?
Just to get your message out.
I didn't know how to write because where to put my comments.
Jesus.
We wanted you to speak them, really.
yeah, just speak
Ask
up.
them and try it.
Oh, just speak, then it will come up automatic.
No, I'm just typing them in as we go along. So I wanted to make this interactive. You didn't have to put it in chat. If you did, that's fine too, because that helped others that are paying attention to the chat. But if you have something else, boy, to add to this list.
No, not in that list. So
Okay.
I was going to type something, but it didn't work.
Okay. So I heard effective communicator, respect others, connect with others, to be inclusive, inspire people, build relationships, present ideas more eloquently, build confidence, pay attention, share ideas, motivate others, and for clarity.
And
So
I would like to add express in a concise way.
Express in a concise way, that is absolutely a valid answer. So some of the things that you all mentioned are absolutely covered in this presentation. We want to gain skill and knowledge, and we do that by becoming effective communicators. I had the opportunity to give feedback to a leader in another organization that I belong to, and I found this quote that I absolutely love. I can't remember who it's attributed to, but it said, good leaders communicate, and good communicators are usually leaders. Does anyone disagree with that?
No way.
No, so I think we all agree, right?
Yeah.
So part of being leaders is simply the messaging, how it's delivered, the manner in which it's delivered. Are we connecting with people? Do they understand? There's another quote that I absolutely love and I reference a lot when I train on communication. There's three speeches for every one speech you give. Have anyone else heard this one before? You'll love it. It's the one you practice or plan, the one you gave, and then the one you wish you had given.
Okay.
Think about that. And our goal as Toastmasters and effective communicators, advanced communicators, is to make sure they're all one and the same. The one we planned, the one we gave, and the one we wish we had given. So there's also material reward to being a good communicator. For those of us, obviously in Toastmasters, we love to see our name in print on an award. How many of you don't like awards? I do. I love seeing my name in print. So whether it's a certificate, whether it's on the website or some other type of recognition, there is a reward for this, in addition to the personal satisfaction and personal development that we achieve. We earn credit towards recognition. We gain pleasure. I don't know about you, I hated public speaking. I would get the clammy hands, the shaky spaghetti legs. I would want to pass out versus get up and stand in front of a crowd. Now, you can't shut me up. I always go along. I say DTM stands for don't time me. So take the clock off. But all kidding aside, there is some self-esteem that's built up as a result of being a better communicator. I know I'm much more confident in delivering messages, whether it's a small group or a large group as well. It builds self-confidence, and we get acceptance from others, and we also inspire others, as was mentioned. We communicate clearly, concisely, and we have a benefit to others because they learn by observation. So those are absolutely great ways to, great reasons why we need to improve our communication. And back over to you with the presentation. I think there's a few more slides that I wanted to cover.
Check to make sure, Rhonda, and then let me know.
Okay, let's see. There are.
Go ahead.
Yep. You can just bring it up on yours so we don't have to switch back. If you want to share your screen.
Yes. I will share, and you'll let me know if I have, I know, you want me to bring up those 2 slides, right?
Yes, please.
All right, let's put it in mode. Covered all that.
Yep.
We've covered this.
So this is how we improve as speakers. The only way we can improve, in my estimation, and obviously in Toastmasters, is by feedback and changing our behavior. So you see this improvement continuum. It shows behavior and speeches, evaluation and feedback. So the more evaluation and feedback we receive as speakers, we can then begin to change our habits and our behavior and the way in which we communicate ideas and inspire people or motivate them or convince them even, or disseminate information and entertain them. I used to have a gentleman in my Toastmasters club that did just, I don't know if you can see me in the thumbnail, but he would do this every time he spoke, and it was almost like a metronome, right? But it was also very annoying. And so with the feedback we gave him, we said, cut that out or cut it down, minimize that. And then you would also become more effective because we're not so focused on your hand movement as well as the sound it made. And we're listening to the content of your speech. So there are some behaviors that are not known to us, that are known to others, that we are only able to discover through feedback and from an evaluation. So those are things that will help us to improve. And you have to have the right type of evaluation and the right type of feedback. And Anne will go over how we can present feedback in a way that is very constructive to a speaker. And I think that was it.
Is that it?
That was it for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. I want to talk about who the effective evaluations benefit. It benefits the speakers. As Rhonda said, it's the feedback. They know what they need to do to improve their next speech, and they know what they do well that they don't have to change. It benefits the evaluators. It improves your listening skills because now we have to pay close attention to the speaker. That's important. And lastly, it benefits the club. If there are effective, positive evaluations, that makes the speaker want to do another speech, take that feedback and incorporate it. And they're motivated. Also, when you have guests, if it's a good evaluation, as Rhonda explained, and as I explained how Donna does it, they're like, wow, that speaker didn't get beat up. There's no criticism. Makes them want to come back to the meeting. That's how you attract guests. What are the speaker benefits for an evaluation? It provides the direct feedback. That's what it does. They need to hear that direct feedback. They're given a specific method in which to improve. It doesn't help to say you need to improve your vocal variety and not show them how to do it. Or you could have made this sentence more impactful by adding this word or this, or reword it this way. And do you see the difference? When you give positive feedback, including the polishing points, as we like to call them now, it helps to reinforce the speaker's commitment to come back and give a speech, to want to give a speech, to improve. I can do it. That's not too hard. I think I can do that. I'm going to go back and give another speech. It also encourages the speaker. The last thing we want to do is to discourage the speaker. And if there's too much negativity in the feedback, you discourage the speaker from coming back again. And lastly, it builds, I'm hiding that, it builds the, Rhonda, can you read that? Because I can't, because I got the
Yep.
slides.
I know, I had to move it. It builds and maintains healthy self-esteem.
Thank you. You want to add anything to that?
No, it speaks for itself.
Okay. The evaluator benefits. We all know this, but in case we don't, provides opportunity to help fellow Toastmasters. It develops an attitude of helpful interest in us as evaluators. Builds positive interpersonal relationships with that speaker. You've now become their friend because you've given them a nice evaluation that they can work with and improve. Develops listening skills, as I said previously, and as evaluators, it's like a table topics. It's impromptu. You have to get your notes together in a matter of a couple of minutes before you're called upon to give that evaluation. So it builds our impromptu. And these are the club benefits. And like I said before, it keeps people coming to meetings. Are there any questions and comments for anything we've covered at this point from any of the participants? If so, please unmute yourself and fire away.
And can you just go back to the previous slide? I just wanted to read through it.
Sure.
I'm a visual person.
That's fine.
Thank you.
I have a question. I have a question.
Yes, Sheila.
I've been in some clubs which are they just give you a whitewash evaluation. So
Yes.
how do you get them to give them more constructive feedback?
Yeah, you mean like it's like, oh, everything was great?
Yeah, basically.
Yes.
I
I hate
visited
those
clubs and
evaluations.
they didn't give you anything to work on.
No, because you know what? Not everything is great. And that's the word we have to, I was at a meeting the other night, and it's true. We have to eliminate that word from our category, from our vocabulary. Because then you're not given a very good evaluation. The person either had a run on words, even as an experienced speaker, that can happen. They didn't structure their speech just right. Something seems out of sync. Or it just may be, I've done speeches where the beginning was really good and I fell flat on my face on the end. And I think as a club, we need to stress to our members that you need to listen more and really read the objectives of the speech and see that they met them. And I'm going to turn it back to Rhonda and even like Abhoy and Thane if they want to add to that.
And certainly, Sheila, I would say two things. The first is to model the behavior you seek to have in your Toastmasters club, assuming this is your Toastmasters club. The second is to invite a very effective evaluator in so that that person may demonstrate the ideal type of feedback, both positive and constructive, or as Ann said, the polishing points. I like that. I had to write that down, the polishing points. I know personally, when I go to some clubs, especially the newer clubs, they do appreciate some of my evaluations. And I also give very, very detailed grammarian reports. And they usually sit back and say, wow, we've never heard something like that. And sometimes we have to, again, model the behavior that we expect to have in the clubs, because it's a disservice to, as Ann said, whitewash things to make it all great. I know personally, I focus on not so much of what I did well, but where I can improve. And I think we all can learn and grow from that constructive aspect as well, and having a balanced evaluation.
I would like to add something.
Sure, Apoy.
Because if you think about a speech, it is not only the speech itself, it contains a lot of things. I can say about 60 different items. For example, how to engaging, how to research, how to transition, what is the conclusion, what is the purpose of the speech. If you think about that, definitely it doesn't matter who is speaking, you find something.
Okay.
And this
Deborah had her hand raised. Go ahead, Deborah.
Yes, I think those are all excellent suggestions. In addition, Sheila, I would recommend doing maybe the effective evaluation module for the club. And then they see, you know, because that covers don't whitewash, and it gives them a model to use for evaluations.
Okay.
All right. All right, so we'll move on. Sheila, you had something else to say? Go ahead.
This is a follow-up.
Go ahead.
One of the things I see with clubs is that when they see a veteran speaker, they're very hesitant to be their evaluator.
Yes.
It happens all the time. And I'm kind of like, I'm not perfect. You can evaluate me. It's kind of like, go ahead. But how do you prevent clubs from doing that as well?
I think what you have to do is to assign the evaluator to that person and let them have that opportunity to evaluate them. I know that's what, you know, Jean Shippos was great for doing that at the ETS club to the newbies. I never signed up to evaluate anybody. She assigned me to evaluate somebody. And I sweated my pants through that whole thing. I sat next to Angela Gill and I said, what am I supposed to do here? Help me. I don't know what to say. I get tongue-tied and I stutter and I can't pronounce words right. What am I going to do? I got up, I did it, and guess what? I still don't give them any evaluations, but I do get up and do them. And that's a way to encourage them. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
I do. I have a question. This is Cheryl.
Yes, Cheryl.
What do you do when you, this is your own club, and after a certain period of time, you know how everyone speaks? So basically, it becomes redundant. You know how that person, you know, you don't have other guests, you don't have new members. It's the same people giving the same speeches all the time. So now you know their format and what they're good and what they're not good. How do you try to get out of that mundane of evaluating your club members, your fellow club members on a regular basis? Am I clear?
I'm leaving that open to whoever wants to take the floor.
I'll jump in. This is Thane. I've certainly been in that case. There are several things to consider. I find a lot of speakers tend to talk about the same thing every single time. So we could encourage them to try new topics. Also related to that, even though I'm an experienced speaker, that doesn't mean I'm going to hit it out of the ballpark every time. So any given speech, you would have both things to perhaps praise and things on which I could work. And if you have a speaker who's very accomplished, just really use them as a role model, pointing out what they did well for the benefit of all the Toastmasters in the audience, and use that as a learning opportunity. You know, especially if I have a speaker, I can't find really anything to suggest, you know, just really praise what they're doing well and use them as a teaching opportunity.
Okay.
I would like to add something. When I was a director in MTA, during that time, I used to present a lot of different types of presentation. Everywhere, wherever I go, different districts, different areas. But once I retired, Then I came to the PATH program. And in the PATH program, I came to know you don't have to be, you have to be a master of one item, not the jack of all trades. That's why what I did, I teach yoga and I stick to my yoga principle, and I always talk from the head to toe about the health, how you can maintain your health without medication. That is my topic, and I always talk nowadays. In my club, they always say, oh boy, pick up some other item, pick up some other thing, because you are used to this. But I don't like to change that. Why? Because that in the regular basis, I teach every day. And I like to improve in that more and more. I don't like to go talk about what is happening in this world, what is happening in China. I am not interested, because something I am interested, something I know, something will help to the audience, help to the public, that I focus on and that I do. Mm-hmm. So I know as a trend said here, that we always encourage the people to speak the different topics. Yes, I used to do that, but now I don't do it. Because it depends, what is my purpose? What is my goal? And what I actually do. So even if somebody suggests me, oh, I go and talk something else, I never do.
All right. Thank you. I believe we're going to have to move on from the question and answer session at this point so that we can keep moving and get through the material, if everybody's okay with that, and indulge me a little bit. And we'll have time for questions and answers again. I'm going to reshare my screen. Okay, so we covered that. We did that. I believe Rhonda may have covered a few points of these, but the evaluation method, I'm not going to read anything. This is the tell and sell type of evaluation method. It's generally the common method that all of us use as Toastmasters, and it's the most effective. But in this case, the evaluator has to be careful in their evaluation and in how they present it to the speaker so that they don't scare the speaker away, so to speak, from coming. This tell and listen is basically where the evaluator makes recommendations for improvements and the speaker can respond. It takes a little bit more time, but that's another learning method for evaluation. The one that's really, it's not really recommended in a group setting, it's problem solving. It's where the evaluator and speaker can more or less form a dialogue and develop a better relationship, really, from the preparation of the speech all the way to the end. I believe that that could be something you could do as a mentor in helping someone prepare a speech. But when you're in a meeting and you want to do an evaluation, for time restriction purposes, the tell and sell is the best method of doing the evaluation. Oops, let me go back. Now I have to turn it over to Rhonda.
Yep.
Oh my God, Rhonda, I'm stealing your thunder.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Sorry.
I wanted to share with you probably two methods that you are very familiar with, and we can go to the next slide. The first,
sorry.
No, it's no secret squirrel stuff here. The sandwich method. How many of you know about the sandwich method already? Yeah, I think most of us as Toastmasters, we know we have to, on the outside, we want to wrap this meal up with positive feedback. We want to introduce positive feedback because we want to put the speaker at ease. We want them to be comfortable with the information that we will share. So typically we'll start with things that they did extremely well. And we nestle the positive, between the positive information, we put the constructive as the meat of it. This is where they really get the opportunity to understand areas of improvement to be effective with their audience. And then we follow up with positive because we want to end on a high note. We want them to know we appreciate their effort, the diligence they took to craft the speech, to deliver it, but we also want them to feel very comfortable and welcome to come back to the lectern again. So we never want to end with constructive feedback because that may be disheartening and discouraging. The next method on the next page is the see, hear, feel method. And this is where you actually, you can click it one more time, and this is where you actually tell about what you've sensed throughout the speech. So what did I see? What did I observe? Was the speaker nervous? Were they confident? Were they bold? Did they use the speaking area effectively? Did they make decisive movements? Did they use gestures? Did they have props or visual aids? Things like that. So anything you've observed with your eyes, you talk about that. Next is, what did I hear? Did I hear a great vocabulary? Did they use a great lexicon that's not trite or common? Did they use those SAT words from way back when? Did they use active, vivid words? Did they paint verbal pictures for us to imagine ourselves in their situation? How did they enunciate or pronounce words? That's what I heard. And was the rate, volume, and pitch appropriate? Did they use vocal variety even to have a verbal 4G or 5G or color code to their speech? We want them to speak in multiple dimensions and with a lot of flavor and flair, not just monotone, black and white. Finally, what did they make me feel? How did I feel having heard the speech? Was it heartfelt? Was it a situation that resonated with me? Did it evoke emotion? Did it take me on an emotional roller coaster of highs and lows, victory and defeat, etc.? So these are ways to give feedback. But again, you can also incorporate the sandwich method. Start off with the very positive. In the middle, you talk about one or two at the most. We don't want the evaluation overwrought with constructive feedback. So the one or two most significant things that the speaker can do to become more effective. And then finally, to end on a high note and wish the person well. I was on a call earlier today, and the person was given 2 speeches in one meeting trying to finish up her DTM. So I ended my evaluation by saying, I know you will reach the DTM. I look forward to celebrating you. So anything that lands on a positive note will be absolutely welcome. Next slide, Ann.
Right? 5-minute break. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have to get up, want to drink a water, we're going to give you a 5-minute break.
Do you mind if I ask a couple of questions?
Oh, go right ahead.
Okay, so I'm trying to follow along in the booklet that I printed out. And so we spoke a little bit about on page 5, 6, and 7, like the 3 roles. We didn't really go over the 3 roles of an evaluator. I don't know what
that's coming next.
That's coming next. Okay, so that's 8. And then we jumped forward to, I finally found the methods for effective evaluation on page 11.
Correct.
But there's no, I don't see anything here about the see, hear, feel method. So I just scribbled that down. I'm just wondering what else I've missed. I'm just trying to scribble down. I want to kind of keep it all in the right place.
So Kathleen, I tend to go rogue sometimes. Like
so do I.
The canned pitches from Toastmasters are great, but I have to ronderize it and anodized it earlier today.
I'm totally cool with that. I'm just trying to, I'm finding this information really, really helpful because I feel very overwhelmed with evaluations because I really want to give feedback, but I often judge myself as to whether my feedback is relevant. So, where am I at? What level am I to be able to give somebody feedback, sort of thing? So I'm just trying to scribble down as much as I can. So that's why I'm kind of asking where everything is in the, in the booklet.
So you won't find the sandwich method or the see, hear, feel, but
I've got
in
that.
one of the earlier slides, Anne showed the see and tell method, and
found that on page 11.
So that's the 3 that's recommended in this module.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
But again, you saw many people know about the sandwich method, and they probably know about the see, hear, feel as well, just as seasoned Toastmasters.
I had heard about the sandwich method, but not the see, hear, feel. And I feel like that is really powerful for me in particular because I can focus on these. What did I see? What did I hear? What did I feel? They're tangible. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was helpful.
Awesome.
Can I add something? Catherine, if you see the manual, not the pathway, the existing one, We have one program that is called the Better Speaker Series. Over there, we have three important ones. One is the Better Speaker Series, one is the Competent Leadership, another is three of them, and a Club Successful Series. Over there, one of the program is there. They are saying how you have to evaluate, and they explain over there in the sandwich method.
Okay.
So we don't have
Let me
access
see
to
if
that.
I can find it out here.
That's not in Pathway though, right?
No.
That is not in the pathway. I have never seen, but that is the.
Right. So we don't have access to that if you don't have Pathway.
It's called Evaluate to Motivate, right? Boy?
Yeah.
Evaluate to Motivate.
Yeah, I want to try and keep this to like the pathways, because I don't know that Toastmasters is going to continue with those other series. And I don't use them. And so I agree with you, Boyd, but
yeah.
Can I ask a quick question too? Because I've been in my club, and I'm not sure if we're evaluating correctly, because when an evaluator, do they talk about the speech or do they talk about what the person does? Because all I ever hear is everyone is excellent. Everyone did an excellent speech. And then they talk about the speech. When I've been in certain situations where I have had speeches evaluated, I had to do a lot of PowerPoint presentation. They would say what you need to do to improve more than what you actually spoke about. Do you see what I'll give you a quick example. I messed up doing a PowerPoint presentation, but my teacher gave me 100 out of 100 because I didn't miss a beat. She said, no one knows what you're going to say. And even though I continued speaking, it was up there, but no one knew what I was going to do because you don't know what my speech is. So, but that's not what I see. Everyone, like if I'm talking about politics, they'll talk about, I'm just giving an example. They'll talk about what the speech said. I thought we were supposed to be talking about how to improve the speech. The content, I always thought the content of the speech didn't matter. It need to be the things that you're saying. What did you observe? I'd never heard these things. What do you see? And to make it more effective. And that's not what I'm seeing.
I'm going to cover that. That's going to be covered later.
Oh, it is? It is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it's going to be covered.
Okay, because
I'm going to get into that as to what you're supposed to look for. All right, Thane has put up the red, and I believe we have to move on.
Thank you.
All right. And if I haven't covered it, please feel free to come back with those questions. I'm going to share my screen again and go where we left off at the 5-minute break. Okay, we're going to talk about the evaluator roles. That's what's next. You know, as an evaluator, your role is a motivator, a facilitator, and a counselor. A lot of responsibility, don't you think? Well, that's what your job is. You want to make your evaluation personal to the speaker. So you want to understand what the speaker's project is and what they're working on, and ask them, well, what is it they're trying to accomplish in their speech? So that you can personalize your feedback towards that and let them know. This way they sort of have an input into the evaluation, and then they're giving you something to evaluate. So then you're coming back and saying, well, you said you wanted to do this. You did this, but you could improve it this way. They've now given you freedom to evaluate them, and they will be more receptive. As a facilitator, Rhonda, can you read that? I know what it says, but
it's be positive.
That's right. You want to be positive when you're giving that feedback, and you can still be positive with the constructive feedback that you give them. And as a counselor, that's what you're doing. You're counseling them on how to improve their speech. And by playing all three of these roles as an evaluator, you're developing a relationship with your fellow Toastmaster. You're giving them a service. You're giving them a gift. You're nourishing their self-esteem at the same time as providing the constructive feedback, because you're giving it in a positive manner. And lastly, as I said before, when you're giving feedback, give them an example or two as to how they can improve the speech. Just don't tell them, well, you need to improve in this area. How about if you try it this way? You know, give the example. But as your role as an evaluator is very important, because how you evaluate that person is whether they come back to give another speech. And as Sheila said, and as many Toastmasters have said, we don't want it with fluff. You don't want to, oh, it was great, it was awesome. No, you did an excellent job. But here are some polishing points that I'd like to share with you, only to help you to improve your next speech. I don't want to belabor the point. So what is evaluated? Sharon, I hope this answers your question. When you're evaluating a speech, the first thing an evaluator should be looking at is the speech itself. When the speaker starts to speak, did they have an introduction that caught the audience's attention? Did they come up with a main point that they followed up in the body of the text and in the body of the speech? It's like writing an essay. Does the body support what they say they were going to talk about? Did they have humor? How did they present it? And finally, the conclusion. The conclusion is to wrap up what their purpose of the speech was, to bring in the body, and now, this is how it's supposed to be. Either it's a call to action, or it's a solution, or it's the end of the story. How did they end the story? So for the speaker's evaluation, I'm not going to belabor this. Rhonda already went over it, so you don't have to hear my voice here to show vocal variety. The one thing I want to cover is the eye contact, especially with Zoom. As you can see, I'm trying to practice look at that camera straight ahead, but I often wander off and look down the side here to see who is speaking, and then it looks like I'm looking down. Well, in the world of technology today, we have to try and focus on the camera. When you're meeting in person and you're doing a presentation, you'll see people will read their slides and turn to their slides and read them. Now what they've done is just taken their focus off the audience. You always want to have your eyes focused on the audience, because then they feel engaged. They feel like you're having a personal conversation with them. Another thing, as she said, gestures with a purpose. I thought this would be humorous. You want to make sure when you're speaking, you're using the proper gestures. And I did say gestures. No, I said gestures, didn't I? And I meant gestures. You see, that's another thing the ETS Club corrected me on. And it still hasn't worked, and I'm still practicing it. And the comfort level. I hope you all see that I've come to be very comfortable with my audience. I can even criticize my own self when I'm doing a presentation. That's how you want to be with your audience. You want them to feel welcomed. Understanding the evaluation process. This is the current evaluation form that we use through Pathways, and you know, you have to evaluate the person and provide them a score. And it's important to note that a score of 3 means they've met the criteria. All right? Did they do what they were supposed to do? Well, I keep going back. All right. So this is a tool to help you evaluate the person. It's not supposed to be all perfect. And then there's a section for comments. The one I want to get to is, this is the one that was included in your workbooks, and I believe everybody printed out. This is not how, these are not the forms we use today. You have to understand this is an old module, but it's important for learning. As you see to your right, to my right, it should be your right too, there's like 12 categories. You don't try to evaluate someone on all 12 categories verbally. What you want to do is pick out 1 or 2 things that the speaker did well. 1 or 2 things the speaker needs polishing points on. And the last thing you want to leave the speaker with is the thing that they did the best out of overall. So you've done that sandwich effect that Rhonda was talking about. They're going to walk away on cloud 9 and want to come back and do another speech to show that they worked on what they needed to improve upon and that they could do it. Let me go back. It keeps going back on me. This, let me go this, next. All right, now this is the evaluation form you're going to use today, to evaluate Jim's speech. I just wanted to put it up there. Everybody received a copy of it in the email. And now I'm going to turn it back to Rhonda. Rhonda.
Thank you.
And I'm going to stop presenting.
Okay. So for our attendees, our next exercise is an actual evaluation of a model speaker. So we'll have Jim Samuel, who probably needs no introduction, but I will give him a formal introduction. He will deliver a speech within 5 to 7 minutes. And because we don't have the breakouts, we will have to evaluate Jim individually. We won't have everyone deliver a verbal evaluation. We'll pick a few people, maybe 3 or 4 as time permits, but I would like for everyone to take the opportunity to evaluate Jim's speech. And for all of you who are brave or who wants to step up to the next level, we will ask you to volunteer to deliver an oral evaluation for Jim's speech. So with that, I'd like to introduce our model speaker. He is Jim Samuel, our current District 38 Finance Manager. And he is a 10-time DTM, 10 times, can you imagine that? He has been a member of Toastmasters for 27 years, which he had ample opportunity to get his 10 DTMs. And he's actually currently working on his 11th through Pathways. He is such a model Toastmaster. He's also a decorated contest winner. He's won at the area level 23 times, at the division level 3 times, and once at the district level. And I mentioned all of this, as we said earlier, I think it was Sheila who mentioned, how do you evaluate someone who's seasoned? Well, you have an opportunity to do so now. It is incumbent upon you to take all the learnings that Ann took us through and to incorporate that into an evaluation of Jim. And Jim has broad shoulders and thick skin, so he can take some constructive feedback. I've seen him. He's helped to start over 100 or close to 100 Toastmasters clubs. Amazing. And I can go on and on. He gave me a long list of accomplishments. I pulled out the things that I thought were very, very interesting and startling to me. He is working on the dynamic leadership path. He will deliver a speech from level 3, an elective titled, Know Your Sense of Humor. The purpose of this speech is to begin developing a collection of humorous stories and to present a speech that includes humor. The speech should include at least one anecdote or story intended to entertain or bring humor into the presentation. Please help me to welcome Jim Samuel. Speech title, Real Humor. That's R-E-E-L, humor. Real Humor, Jim Samuel.
Well, thanks, Rhonda. In fact, you know, I composed this speech on the back of an envelope on the way over here. So it's not going to be a very good speech. But I tell you what, I really like those whitewash evaluations that Sheila was talking about. So that's what I request. I really like positive feedback. That's the way I feel about it. But I would like to start with a story about Don Shula. Don Shula is the winningest coach of the NFL. And everybody knows what NFL is, so I'm not going to tell you what that abbreviation means. There's no need for that. But he was vacationing in Maine during the off season one time in April, and you all know what April is like. April is a rainy season. And it was raining this particular day in Maine in April. So he took his family to the movies. He got to the theater, and there weren't too many people in the theater, but they all stood up and they applauded him, and he was flattered. After the movie, he went up to one of the moviegoers and he said, well, gee, thanks for recognizing me. I'm a long way from home. And the man said, sir, I don't know who you are, but right before you got here, the manager came into the theater and said that if 3 more people didn't show up, they weren't going to show the movie. Now, it gave me pause. You know, what really makes a movie funny? That usually when there's laughter in a theater, it's because of the movie, not because there's a star there. And I categorized the cause of humor, or the root of humor, into 2.5 categories. And by the way, you all know that there are three kinds of people, people who can count and people who can't count. So the first category is ridiculous situations, that it's not unusual in movies to set up just a ridiculous situation that's funny. I thought of Back to the Future, where Marty McFly gets to meet his parents and get them together. And it was a fun movie, and it was great with science fiction. It was exciting, but it was funny. And I think it was funny because of the ridiculous situation. How about Jumanji, Next Level, where the actors are playing characters that are not their gender. The men play the women and the women play the men sometimes. A ridiculous situation. Also Mrs. Doubtfire, and by the way, Robin Williams is my favorite. In this case, he dressed up as a woman so he could see his kids. It was a ridiculous situation, but it was also quite serious. Wanted to see his kids. And finally, Tootsie, where Dustin Hoffman dresses up as a woman because he needed to work. It was a part for a woman, and he played the woman. Made a mess of the situation, but that's what he did. So ridiculous situations, I think, are the first category for real humor. The second category is physical humor. And the first movie that came to mind was Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where Paul Rubin just has inspired silliness and walks around silly. And in fact, John Cleese is the minister of silly walks. He even tells you that it's all about physical humor. Jerry is nodding. He likes that movie. All right. Now, there's also Three Amigos. And Steve Martin, he's one of my favorites too, and Chevy Chase. They dressed up funny, and they had that funny dance that they did all together. Physical humor, as well as ridiculous situation. And how about Night at the Museum, where the dinosaurs come alive? It was a physical situation as well as ridiculous situation, and it's always been that way. If you go back to 1948, we have the movie Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. It was ridiculous, but there was a lot of physical humor. And finally, Sleeper in 1973. And we all know that Woody Allen is just Mr. Madcap. So there are some movies, so I'm gonna make this half a category because it's not that many movies, but some movies are humorous with a serious message. And if you can inculcate a serious message with a humorous movie, it's gonna be a winner because the humor will draw people in and keep people interested long enough to hear the message. I was thinking about City Slickers, where Billy Crystal was someone from the city, and he came to believe that what he needed to focus on was the things that he loved and what was important in his life. And Daniel Stern realized he had to restart his life. I'll also mention, once again, Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam, 1987, where he plays disc jockey Adrian Cronauer. The people who were in Vietnam say that Robin Williams could have been Adrian Cronauer. Very serious message about the value of life and the fallacy of war, the ridiculousness of war. And finally, I like the movie Big with Tom Hanks, where lots of physical humor. He was a kid in an adult's body. You see him playing with toys. That was his job. And there was a serious message where he finally tells his girlfriend, I'm just not ready to be an adult. I have to go back. Is there a message for us? Are there implications for us as speakers and leaders? Well, I think there are a few. First of all, Toastmasters like to laugh. That's always been true. And if you can give a speech that makes people laugh, they're really going to appreciate it. Secondly, 55% of what an audience takes away from a speech is visual. 38% is auditory, and 7% is all you get for the message. So you have to use your prop or physical movement, something that the audience sees as a bridge to the audience across which you can convey your idea. And having a message is good, but if all you do is silliness, if that's the way you prepare your speech, That's going to be enough. And even a speech that's just ridiculous can sometimes work. I won a division level contest talking about a mythical date I had with Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. Just a ridiculous situation. There was no particular message. So friends, that's it. That's the end of the speech. Thank you for being a good audience. The end.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. So now I'd like to give 5 minutes on the clock, Thane, and I would ask that all of our participants take 5 minutes to craft an evaluation, an effective evaluation for Jim. And we will call on volunteers. If there's no volunteers, we will volunteer you to try to incorporate some of the talking and learning points from Ann and myself and some of the feedback in order to craft an effective evaluation. And you will have between 2 and 3 minutes, like a normal meeting evaluation, to deliver it. So we'll try to get in as much as possible. We're really good on time, so we'll have enough time for several.
Check if you could still hear me. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Thank you.
And it looks like we've reached 5 minutes. So thank you, Thane, for that indication. We now have about at least 20 or so minutes, probably a little bit more to go through your evaluations. So I'd like to ask for any volunteers to deliver a 2 to 3 minute evaluation of Jim's speech. Do we have any volunteers?
Donna, but I'll go last.
Okay.
I'll give somebody
Okay, Rhonda, I can.
I see a boy's hand going up, so go ahead, a boy.
Yeah. One of the greatest part to come to this meeting is to listen an outstanding speech like this. I have honor to evaluate a mind-blowing speech presented by Jim Samuel. When I write a speech, or I present a speech, or I evaluate a speech, during that time, I keep my attention in 3 areas: the clear message, logical organizational structure, and engaging with audience. Jim selected a good topic that is related to everybody. It is the correction of different humors, a ridiculous situation. Today, Jim not only grabbed the attention immediately, but also he held my attention the entire time. The speech was developed nicely. He discussed about the Don Shula, the NFL coach, went to a movie and with the family and what happened there. Then they went to a movie. Then they come up talking about a lot of different ridiculous situations with a lot of areas. For example, and also physical humor. And he gave a lot of series of the people about this, how this humor comes up. Jim presented his experience in dramatic way, and that is with a vocal variety, and I saw the gestures, and very fascinating way he put it in. I like this speech, but few things I noticed, which I can, because he said, I can take any positive feedback. Few things it came to my mind, which I saw there. He said it is a moving funny in the 3 types. The people can count, people cannot count, but I didn't get the 3rd one. That is number 1. And I think he doesn't have to tell in the beginning that it is not a good speech. Just go on and tell what you're supposed to tell. Because when people, the way you put it in, that will be taken care by the evaluator and they will see. And one more thing I saw, sometimes you repeated few words. It means you might have to go for a little bit more practice. Excitement and emotion, all this energy, I didn't get it because you are talking about the people, different types of people, and you narrated very nicely the ridiculous situation and physical and a lot of areas, the omega and all those things. The whole idea is that it was a very good speech, and you gave us a lot of details about those people, and you are an amazing and unique person who has so much talent and skill to access. One point I would remember, you say NFL, I don't have to explain, but I actually thinking a lot of different people, because I know a lot of people, they don't know about all these things. So even if for you or this for us Toastmasters, a lot of people know, but still I would appreciate if you can say NFL abbreviation. Otherwise, there is it is your presentation, your vocal impression was good. I enjoyed it. You had a fantastic way and showed to us how you are experienced, and we know you very well. And there was never been anyone like you in the Toastmaster group, what I believe. And I really enjoyed your speech and hope learn a lot in future.
Thank you so much. And Thane, can we get a boy's time for the evaluation?
2 minutes short of being, well, 2 minutes over time, 5:23.
Ooh, 5:23. Okay. As a reminder to everyone, Thane is our timer. His name is Timer Thane Shetter. So we're trying to keep to the time, the 2 to 3 minutes that you would have during a normal Toastmasters meeting. And remember, I probably was remiss in telling you this. You can pin the timer if you need to have full visibility. To do so, click on the ellipses in the top right corner of Thane's thumbnail and select pin video. That way you can always see, or you can just navigate to where he is on your screen. That's number one. Number two, keep in mind that the evaluation should almost sound as if you prepare for it days in advance. And for that reason, we do have evaluation contests where you are encouraged to deliver this as a speech with an opening, a body, and conclusion. So keep that in mind as you also try to incorporate the learning points from Anne's presentation. So, Aboy, thank you for kicking us off tonight. And I'd like to know if there's any other volunteer. If so, just unmute. Kathleen, I see your hand up. So please unmute yourself and go for it.
Good.
Okay, so I'm hoping that you will provide evaluation on the evaluator. Okay, Dan, what a privilege it was to hear you speak. It was very obvious that your skills in presenting are above and beyond most, and it was wonderful to hear you speak. I really, really appreciated just how comfortable you were, how easily you were able to present to everybody, even though you only had written something down on the back of an envelope previous to this speech. So I thought that was pretty amazing that you were able to get up and do that so easily. I noticed that the title of the speech was Know Your Sense of Humor, and it specifically said you were supposed to do a collection of humorous stories. I felt that your knowledge of the movies and how well versed you are in the movies were just fantastic. I just can't pull that together personally. I can never remember the names and the titles and all the rest of it, but yeah, the way that you pulled all that information together was amazing. But I'm not 100% sure it fit exactly in the title of your speech and what you were asked to present. I also found that your transitions occasionally were a little bit difficult to follow, especially the transition, the well-defined beginning, middle, and end. I noticed that the red card, Thane had brought up the red card towards the end, and you had to end a little more quickly, which probably was why that your conclusion wasn't as solid as it probably normally would be. So keep an eye on the time. But overall, just how relaxed you were, your vocal variety, your audience awareness, the way you incorporated the audience members a couple of times throughout your speech, I thought was fantastic. And I'm really grateful that you were able to do this presentation for us today so that we can learn and grow with our skills as evaluators. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. And then can we have Kathleen's time?
Yes, 2:06.
2:06, awesome. Are there any points of success or any constructive feedback we want to give to Kathleen?
I specifically had a question, if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
As well as the feedback, but I'm sorry. In our club specifically, I've noticed or wondered about the topic of the speech and how specific people were relating to that topic. And I often felt like they just were doing what they felt comfortable with without turning it to, is that something I should bring up, or should I not say anything about that? I didn't know if that was a relevant point to bring up.
And you're talking about the topic of the speech, correct?
Yeah, because most often people are doing their pathways, and so they'll be given a specific thing that they're supposed to be focusing on. And I've often found that the speeches don't always follow along that. They're in the person's comfort range, but they're not doing the meat and potatoes of what the speech is asking them to do.
And I think you did absolutely the right thing, Kathleen. I was actually proud of you when you said that it did not fit the objective of the speech, because we all should focus on the objective of the speech. And many times we try to retrofit a topic that we're comfortable with into a speech that may not necessarily fit. So because Jim told us about a lot of movies and maybe not necessarily a lot of humorous stories, it's right to point it out. So one of the things as an evaluator, I think one of my defaults is to go back to the objective of the speech and to match that or rate the person against or evaluate them against the objectives. Because we can all get up and speak, but you're not really exercising or developing that skill for that objective if you're overlooking it or discounting it. So I think that's a great job. And I think you should always go back to the objective of the speech. Each speech from Pathways or the traditional program have objectives that we should meet. Any other feedback for Kathleen before we move on? Okay, who's next? If you're next, just take yourself off mute and chime in. Kathy. I think I saw Kathy's hand up.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Jim, that was a great speech, and it was nice. I think it's the first time I have heard you speak. I'm from the Washington Crossing Toastmaster Club. I love the topic and the content of your speech, and agree with you how using humor, no matter what, even if it's a serious topic, if we can somehow incorporate that, we can get our message across. And I really liked your example. I forget, I didn't write down the numbers, but how you only have maybe 7 seconds to get your message in. The other pieces are what really take over the speech. Another thing that I thought was terrific too, and I like when people are able to do this, I think it shows an experienced speaker and a comfortable speaker. You started out with humor, the note about the whitewash feedback, that you like that, which really deviated from your speech. That wasn't part of the prepared speech. I think you took what was already said in the meeting and so really tailored it to the meeting instead of just what you had prepared to go on. It was such a good speech. I find it hard to believe that you just prepared it on the back of an envelope on the way to the meeting. And I think you may have thrown a few things in there to get some feedback from us. You know, again, the conclusion was abrupt and kind of came suddenly. I didn't realize Thane had thrown up the red card, so that may be why you did it. I thought that could have been something, you know, looking for opportunities for feedback or constructive feedback. But too, I like the topic and the examples of the movies, and I think just your relation with the audience and knowing that we could relate to those examples. You know, you didn't have to explain them much. I think looking at the audience, we all were familiar with those movies and actors and things that you were talking about. So yeah, overall terrific speech, and I look forward to hearing you again sometime.
Thank you, Kathy. And Thane, Kathy, I'm not sure if you see the virtual applause that you're getting across the screen, but I wanted to point that out. Thane, can we have Kathy's time?
Yes, Kathy's time was 2 minutes, 40 seconds.
Ooh, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Kathy, you must be on your way to becoming a DTM like me. And I saw someone ask, what's a DTM? So a DTM is a Distinguished Toastmaster. It's the highest educational designation you can receive in Toastmasters. You will have completed a prescribed number of speeches, and you've had to have multiple leadership roles in order to earn that DTM. It's very prestigious. Not everyone acquires it or earns it, but if you are very focused on developing your skills as a leader, as a speaker, please make that a goal. It's very worthwhile. Any feedback for Kathy on her evaluation from any of the mentors or the attendees for that matter? Any questions from Kathy or comments? Okay, hearing none, let's go to the next person. We still have until about 6:45, so we have plenty of time.
Let's call him Jackie Atkinson.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Jim, I really appreciated your presentation because I never thought about humor in the way that you outlined it for us. Your speech was organized, it was structured, and you explained the categories or the types of humor, the ridiculous situations, physical humor, and humor with a serious message. And it left me with a model for assessing humor going forward. I'll probably look at any movie or program and I'll think, what kind of humor is this? Is it physical? Just what type is it? I did find it interesting that you started your presentation with a disclaimer that this was not the best speech. And it could have left us with lowered expectations, but your content just overrid that, but that's something to look out for. You gave great examples in the categories of the types of humor. I thought you could have given us something to actually laugh at. That would have been a plus for your presentation. I was captured by your ease and your confidence in the way you delivered your speech. And you left me with the sense that you have a wealth of knowledge in this area, in the area of real humor. And I just thank you for that. And I would look forward to hearing more about humor from you. Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Thane, can we have her time, please?
Yes, Jackie's time was 1 minute, 45 seconds.
Okay. So Jackie, opportunity for you. Get to the 2 minute mark.
Okay.
So 2 minutes is the minimum for your evaluation. But
okay.
This was a very good evaluation. Anyone else, especially the mentors, would like to give Jackie any feedback? Okay. Jackie, any
question?
Sure.
Just wondering, I mean, we want to motivate and encourage and, you know, make sure people feel very comfortable in our club. And I know that our club, I'm very lucky. The Lower Makefield Club is amazing in that regard. But knowing who your presenters are, I'm sure that that should sway your level of critical analysis, right? So someone at Jim's level, we could probably be a little more critical of than someone who's doing their first speech at the club. And then that kind of leads me to, should we be critical? Like where, you know, I'm always analyzing, I'm always thinking, and the last thing I would want to do is offend or upset anybody, but I do want to be true to my analysis. So, you know, where's that line and how critical should we be?
I think you have to put yourself in the person's shoes. So if there's a member that's very new to the club, you absolutely don't want to discourage that person from ever speaking again. And there are situations where it has happened, right? So they're already nervous enough to get up in front of a practically new audience to them.
And that sort of person, you should just basically say, wow, you're amazing for getting up. Thank you so much for coming to the club, sort of thing. But that, and then very little more.
But maybe one thing that they can do aspirationally, not to say that they did not do well that day, but maybe you can work your way up to not using notes or using notes more sparingly. So that's my challenge to you for your second speech. Something to that effect. Again, look ahead at where they are headed, and maybe that gives you insight to how to construct the constructive feedback for them.
And I think a lot of my thoughts and feelings and the reason I'm voicing this is because I want more from my evaluation. I want people to give me so much more. You know, I feel confident in knowing what I am good at.
Yeah.
But I really genuinely want more critical feedback on what I can improve on.
So this is what I did when I had mentors or when I had mentees. I would ask them specifically, what should I look for in this speech? What skill are you absolutely trying to improve with this speech, in addition to the objective of the speech itself? So someone would say, again, using less notes, cutting down on the ums and ahs and all the filler words, or using the speaking area more effectively and deliberately, etc. So you can always go to your evaluator, especially if you know ahead of time. Sometimes we don't when we come to a meeting, but there may be a few minutes before the meeting starts, even send them a private message to say, please be mindful of, or please watch out for this. I'm working on this skill today. So to solicit and elicit the type of feedback you want, since you're not always getting it. Okay.
Another note, Kath.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sheila.
Another note for the evaluation, if there's anything that you want to tell someone, you do not have to include it in the verbal evaluation. You can write it down, because there are some times in which I had to write down so I don't say it in front of everybody. That might be a way in which you can address an issue, or else you can talk to them afterwards and have a dialogue with that person.
Yeah, that's right, Sheila. I am from Princeton Toastmaster. We distributed the paper to ask all the participants to give their comments. And sometimes that helps a lot to the new members, even if the experienced members.
Thanks, boy. I was just looking for mine. I don't know if you can see this, but I have the ballot and brief evaluation. We do not use the ballot portion because we don't vote every meeting on the best speaker or table topic speaker. But it certainly gives you first, second, third. I think it's down to 5 speakers. We call it the railroad ticket because it's perforated, and we just rip it off and give it to the speaker. And I think this is a great way to get feedback from multiple people, not just your designated evaluator that has a unilateral perspective. This gives you a broader perspective of how you're connecting with your audience. Are you effective? What worked and what didn't work? And I can't remember who said it. It may have been Ann. That some of the things that people tell you, you have to use as a filter. You know, whatever sticks and stays in the bowl, keep it. And if it doesn't apply to you, don't accept it, reject it.
That's right.
Because you can't please everyone, but you're trying to please as many people as possible.
Exactly.
Ann, did you want to say something?
Do that.
Sorry.
Did you want to say something?
Yes. One thing for Kathleen and actually everybody, when you're evaluating, keep in mind that you're really focused on the speech that evening. So even a more experienced speaker has days that aren't so good. And one thing you really would like to avoid, you know, it's been said to me by somebody who's no longer on the call, you're a DTM, you should know better. It's like, well, we had a very legitimate difference in how we interpreted the objectives of the speech. And just because somebody has a particular experience level doesn't mean their speech that evening was exemplary. There are always things that they did well. There are always things that they could do differently to be more effective. And a lot of the process of by pointing out what's done well and what could be done better, it's also a wonderful learning experience for everybody in the audience.
That's right.
Thank you, Thane. Is there anyone else? Jerry.
Yes, hello Toastmasters. Jim, I am really no surprised that you were instrumental in starting creating 100 clubs, what I understanding, because with what you did today, there is no surprise. And I am sure you will start another 100. And we are really excited about this, but I don't want to spoil you. So one thing which I didn't see and I would love to see, and I am sure you are great in this, maybe to see more your basically like hands or maybe even movements. I know that is very challenging in this Zoom settings, but if maybe some next speech, when we are fortunate to see you again, maybe already in some normal environment, maybe we can see you moving. And one thing, Jim, was that you basically you show that you enjoy giving speech. I would like to someday maybe get closer to enjoying giving a speech, because that is something that not only that you have to do, but you like to do, and you are getting busy. You are waiting for this moment that when you start speaking. So that's really something very natural, and something probably which you you learned this through many speeches. And maybe, can you maybe explain how to get to this point?
Okay, was that actually a question for me?
Yes, yes, Jim.
Okay. Well, first of all, Anne asked me to leave breadcrumbs. So Kathy Chisholm is right that, you know, you never start off saying this speech isn't going to be very good. Nobody, the audience doesn't want to hear that. Just stand and deliver. That's all you really do. And you can't ask for just positive feedback. That's silly. And I saw I was near the red card, but I just ended the speech abruptly so that somebody could say you ended the speech abruptly. And it wasn't a string of one-liners. It was something that I wanted to talk about, even though it didn't meet the objectives, which again, was something that that was good. But, you know, Jerry, can I ask you, how do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Practice.
Okay, so if you want to be a better speaker, then write your next speech now. Always have 2 speeches in your pocket, and those speaking opportunities will find you. And listen to your evaluators, and then take on the role of evaluator and all the other roles. Once you've been a counter, you never look at a speech the same way.
That's true.
It's or timer. You know, it's you always look at a speech a little differently. But keep speaking, and you'll improve. I mean, that's just automatic.
One other thing, if I may just jump in too and say, find a mentor within Toastmasters, someone that you trust and who can be objective and can help see your progression through to wherever you choose to go, whatever level that is, because that person can give you some good trusted feedback. And I think the point of getting feedback is to incorporate some as well. I had club members who gave speech after speech, week after week, and never incorporated the feedback. And so it became repetitive, me saying things or other people saying things that they should do differently to be more effective. Again, as Anne said, the feedback is a gift. We're giving you something to take back, to revise, to recalibrate yourself, and to come out even more powerful and dynamic than you already are. So don't overlook that opportunity to improve by just getting up and giving speeches. Try to meet the objectives and try to incorporate as much feedback as you feel comfortable with. Even be comfortable in discomfort. If someone's asking you and challenging you to do something a little bit differently, if you feel it's perfectly legit, go for it. What's the worst that can happen? You may hit it out the park. So I think there's another person that wants to give an evaluation.
Donna Herb.
Donna, okay.
Thanks, Anne and Rhonda. A lot of times when I was going to, by the way, a lot of times when I was going to jump in and give some feedback, it was already picked up by people. So but in terms of evaluation, first of all, there was a really big buildup on Jim's credentials. We'll start with that. So yes, there was some kind of expectation on what Jim was going to be able to do as a speaker. That said, it was, Jim, it was kind of clearly obvious about your breadcrumbs to me, I think. And you kind of fessed up on that to answer Jerry's question. Deliberately gave a less polished speech, or at least one with gaps, to provide space for the evaluators to provide feedback or things to be worked on. So I think that was really good, and it kind of also proved the level of experience that you really have, because you are able to figure out, what could I do here that's kind of like an obvious, and you started off right away with an obvious, and a couple other people have picked up on that, and that is that you started off with saying, well, I'm not going to do this so well because I wrote it on the back of the napkin. That said, you used a prop, which is a really good point. So number one, you get kudos for using the back of the napkin prop. But of course, it's an evaluation must. Anybody who starts off by saying, oh, I didn't have enough time to work on this and it's not going to be very good. No, that's the first thing you get told is don't do it. Just go for it and give it your best. You did use a lot of examples. However, I want to say, and I'm not using the sandwich here, I'm doing a pro and a con kind of arrangement, which is a little bit different. But you used a lot of examples, a lot of great examples, you know, things that I personally have seen, and clearly several other people have seen also from the audience. But you can't make that assumption, especially coming into something like this, where you have no idea who's going to be in this audience. If you're going to your own club, you kind of have a pretty good idea about who's going to be there. But who knew who was going to be on this workshop? Thane's been going to a lot of different clubs all over the world, we've heard. So you could have had anybody. You could have had somebody from New Zealand. You could have had somebody from Bangladesh on this. You just don't know. So you shouldn't make it assumptions like, no, not everybody may know what the NFL is. Always spell out the acronym. We don't all know that Woody Allen is Mr. Madcap. By the way, you gave some great examples of personally movies that I love, and Mrs. Doubtfire is one of them. But I also agree with Kathleen's suggestion that I don't know if you actually followed the purpose of the speech, and there was a lot of conversation about that. So I won't go into that. There's lots more that I could give. I have been given the red flag. So I'm going to end with, Jim, I would love to see one of your real speeches sometime, because clearly you can do it well. And I do have some suggestions for you if this is the way that you normally do your, and I know I'm going over for 1 second, but in this world of video, and I can't prove it to you because my video is broken, but be very careful about the level, and Ann talked about this a little bit, the level of the camera, because you were like looking down and there was a lot of reflection coming up. So that was kind of above and beyond, and I'm going to be quiet now because we've hit the red flag. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Donna. This was very good feedback. You're getting the virtual applause. I hope you see it. And thank you for bringing up the level. I'm very big on the orientation of one's camera. And Jerry, you were definitely looking down and we were looking up to you, seeing your ceiling. So one of the things you may want to do is try to make your camera as level with your eyes as possible so that we are seeing you exactly straight and not getting disoriented, because I don't know if anyone else has a reaction, but I seemingly have a reaction when a camera is turning, looking upwards, or either when it's downwards to a person. So for us to get the maximum experience of you as a speaker, try to be eye level with the camera. But good feedback, Donna, and thank you for going out on your own and doing your pro and con, or see and tell, or whatever methodology you want to ascribe to. We are just trying to equip you all with the tools that you can be as effective in your evaluations as possible. And I believe we are on point for 6:45 to provide some evaluations from our mentors. I'll turn it over to Ann to segue into that section of our workshop.
Okay, thank you, Rhonda. Your awesome support on this evaluation workshop. You provided so much valuable information to our participants, sharing your knowledge. I cannot thank you enough. So let's give her a kudos for all she has done to make this a successful workshop. Could not have done it without her, Jim, Thane, and Apur as well. Now, I want to turn it over to the mentors. First, I will go with Apur. I'm messing your name up. I'm trying. I'm very sorry. So would you like to make a general overall comment in 3 minutes or less?
Yes, yes. This is regarding the evaluators, right?
Yes.
Each evaluator, they noticed a lot of things and they presented, for example, the objectives and the speakers using the prop and the styles and what he said, all these things they explain very nice way. And I believe those are important. As Jim said, actually this is I was looking for at the beginning to laugh, but actually this is not to laugh, it is a collection of humorous speech in different situations. And that was actually noticed by all the evaluators, and they pointed out their idea and whether it is applicable or not applicable, but whatever may be, as a evaluation team, we learn a lot from this project, how to evaluate to the experienced person, and how, as a matter of fact, the experienced person also indicated that he is willing to accept any feedback coming from anybody. So the feedbacks are, as we discussed, especially it is about the topic and about his idea and how quickly and how easily he explained to the people. And in that case, I believe that I do like all these evaluations, and those are really good, and it's a good learning for me too. With that, I can say this is a wonderful meeting we conducted today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thane.
The wonderful thing about this evening is that you all heard a variety of opinions. And the value of hearing all these opinions, both as a speaker and a listener, is that you learn that everybody hears things a little differently. Meaning there's no one way to most effectively communicate with everyone, but we work toward our most effective communication with as many people as we can at one time. The one thing I would add, beyond the fact that all of our evaluators shared a lot of good points, is in future evaluations, never make assumptions. Several of the evaluators, and I realized some of them were after Jim confessed, you made assumptions that he had done things on purpose to give us things to comment on. I've been in cases where that really wasn't the case. That was really what they intended to do. In this case, to address something like that, I would talk about why a particular statement either added or detracted from the overall message. As one example of that, something that nobody else mentioned, Jim threw in a number of things that really didn't relate so much to the speech. And again, I'm making the assumption here, he talked about the impact of using visuals. And other than that tiny little envelope 4 minutes earlier in the speech, he didn't use one. Well, I didn't see that, Jim. My video was blocked. Another thought, I'm a big proponent of having introductions for speeches because it helps set the stage and explain to the audience what's going to take place. There was a great amount of detail in Jim's introduction that, in my estimation, didn't really give him any particular authority about the use of humor in movies. So I would, in an introduction for a speech like this, maybe focus on the fact that Jim has watched 1,400,013 movies, and in that case, perhaps is an authority. My time is, well, I guess I forgot to start my time, so I'm sure I'm in time. Back to you.
Thank you, Thane. Very well. Very well. And I think we're on to the closing comments at this point, right? If I look at my agenda right?
Yes.
Yeah, can I insert one?
Yes, Jim, please.
The other thing you could do is be a dual member, because you get to see members in 2 different clubs. So you get to see a wider variety of speaker. And I'll also tell you the district started late this year gathering area directors. So we're still looking for area directors, and you don't need any particular level of experience. It's just aptitude and attitude. If you'd like to do something, go beyond what you're doing, and that will help you be a speaker and a leader, because there'll be times where you'll be called on to speak at some strange club. So those are 2 suggestions that I have: be a district officer and be a dual.
Terrific, Jim. Great announcement. Thank you. I forgot about that. We always try to promote the district when we have functions like this, so thank you. I want to let everyone know that every participant will receive a participant certificate. I will be sending it to your president and vice president of education to sign via Adobe, and then I will forward it to you so that you have a signed certificate for participation. It's an awesome certificate, and it is an awesome recognition for you giving up your time to be here this evening to participate in this workshop. And I also want to thank you, because by coming here, you showed your support for me, and that's how I view it. And I talked about gift giving, right? It's always nice to get a gift, and the idea is to keep it moving forward, right? So I have a couple of gifts for everybody here. I have recorded this video. I have recorded this workshop, as everyone knows. I will be forwarding a copy of this video along with my slide presentation to everybody that was here on the call tonight. It's material that you can go back to and refer to if you wish to, but I want to give something back and give forward, and maybe you may find it useful. And if you don't, just throw it in the trash can, but at least I gave you a gift. But then take it and forward a gift to somebody else.
Thank you.
All right. The last thing is, I hope you feel more confident after this session, so that at your next meeting, you'll go back and volunteer to give an evaluation and be the evaluator, because we all can do it. We just need the confidence to do it. And I hope this session will help you towards that. I'd like to finish off by giving Rhonda some closing comments if she wishes.
Sure, thank you so very much. One thing, Jim, I love your speech title, and please don't forsake having a speech title, because it sets the stage for whatever we think we may hear about. Honestly, when I heard real humor, I thought about fishing, not movies. So trust me, it could be used as a double entendre when you have those types of things happen. So I thought that was just worth noting. I want to tell all the participants, thank you for taking your time out today. I hope you learned something. I enjoyed having you and learning from you all. I'll be more than happy, while I have availability because of this pandemic, to attend any meeting and give any evaluation or grammarian report or just sit back and observe or have any other type of role. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email address in the comments. But I think you all did a great job today, and thank you for not having to be voluntold to give an evaluation today. Awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Anne, for organizing this. I thought this was
Yeah,
a great, worthwhile session.
I have to agree 100%. I feel so much more confident now. I can't evaluate you today. I know you're doing a speech. We actually have we've got our next meeting on in 2 minutes. So, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And there was a question as to why I'm not signing the certificate. The certificates that I received from Toastmasters, it specifically states on the bottom for the president and the VPE to sign it. And I don't want to mess with an official document. So that's why I'm forwarding on to your president and VPE to sign. And
we can edit that. I think we should edit that.
Edit that? Do you want me to edit it?
Yes.
Do you want me to edit it then? If you
I think so.
I will. If you're in agreement, I will. Okay.
You have our permission.
Okay. You know, I go by the book, right, Thane? I can't.
But you were the facilitator, so I think it's only appropriate.
Okay. Well, then I would be happy to sign it for everybody. As a matter of fact, it would be my honor. Like everybody
Awesome.
here.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm actually going to give you 2 minutes back, and it'll give me a 2-minute break before my next meeting. And thank you all again. And keep giving your gifts. You have a lot to offer. Bye.
Bye,
everyone. Bye. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.